The circle inside the horror box. Welcome back to Halfway Dark. Tonight's descent is not just a story. It has an opening into something that should never be opened. Before we step inside, remember, subscribing keeps you close to the shadows, but just far enough away to survive them. Now, let's begin. They called it simply the box. It wasn't a treasure chest, not a crate, not anything that could be explained by wood and nails. The thing was a riddle of angles, a shape that looked different every time you stared at it. When travelers stumbled upon it, they swore its sides rippled as though painted on liquid. Nobody admitted they wanted to open it. Nobody admitted they already had. The circle came first as whispers voices you couldn't locate, but that seemed to speak directly inside your skull. Faces emerged, pale as paper and stretched too long, like wax softened in the sun. They smiled without moving their lips, and in that stillness was a command: join. Inside the horror box was no treasure. It was a room without walls, a space that grew as you breathed, a dark expanse where the only things visible were the bone dolls. Each doll was child-sized, delicate, arranged in a circle. They clutched hands, their empty sockets locked on anyone foolish enough to step across the threshold. And once you did, you were no longer outside looking in, you were part of their circle. One traveler, a boy of 19, found the box buried in wet leaves along an old roadside. His laughter echoed when he pulled it open, convinced he'd stumbled on a prank or some forgotten stage prop. By nightfall, the laughter had turned into screams. Witnesses said his voice carried through the woods, breaking off into gasps, until it didn't sound like a boy at all anymore. What escaped the box afterward wasn't human. It looked like him at first glance. Yes, but his movements were wrong, mechanical. Every gesture timed like a marionette, tugged by invisible strings. The circle had claimed him, rewoven his body into its endless play. And here's the most unsettling part. The box is said to travel. It appears in motels, in back alleys, in basements you swear were empty yesterday. Wherever loneliness collects like dust, it waits. Some swear it can even reach across screens, that when you see it, even in a story, a piece of it has already noticed you. If you hear whispering tonight, if you dream of dolls with clasped hands, don't break the circle. Don't look too long into the dark. And if you see a box that seems to change shape the longer you stare, leave it closed. This has been the circle inside the horror box. The God in the Glitch. You need to subscribe to this channel right now, before you finish this sentence. Because what I'm describing is a cognitive parasite. It thrives on attention. And by listening, you're letting it in. My story didn't start with a sound or a sight. It started with a flaw in reality itself. A skip. I was making coffee. The kitchen light flickered. Not a flicker, a stutter. The light didn't dim and brighten. It ceased. For exactly 2 heartbeats, the world turned off. Then it was back. The coffee was still steaming, but I knew. I had felt the universe reboot. The first scare was the silence afterward. It was the wrong kind of quiet. It was a digital silence, a null audio track. I held my breath. My fridge should have hummed. It didn't. The clock on the stove was dark. I pulled out my phone. The time was frozen. The second hand on my wristwatch was trembling, vibrating in place, unable to move forward. Time itself had a catch in its throat. And in that perfect, manufactured silence, a new sound began. A low, granular whisper, like static from a dead television channel, but wet. It was coming from the sink drain. I'm telling you this because your reality is still intact. Your clocks are ticking. Your lights are steady. Subscribe. Lock this in. You need a reference point for when it starts for you. You need to know you're not going insane. The glitches became more frequent. longer. I'd blink, and the furniture would be rearranged into impossible geometries. The couch was suddenly a perfect sphere of fabric for 3 seconds, then snapped back. My bookshelf once became a flat, two-dimensional drawing on the wall. I could see the pencil lines. The whisper from the drain grew into a voice. It didn't speak words. It spoke in base commands. Cease, loop, corrupt. It was defragging my existence. I found the first physical change in my bedroom. The wall opposite my bed was bleeding pixels. Literally, a small patch of the white paint was dissolving into a shimmering, digital grain like a corrupted JPEG. It wept a slow, oozing stream of black and white static that pooled on the floorboards. The pool had a surface tension. It reflected nothing. It was a hole in perception. I touched it. It was cold and left a sticky, resinous feeling on my fingers that smelled of ozone and burned copper. The thing in the drain learned to mimic. It started with my alarm clock. It played my own voice back to me, screaming. But the scream was on a loop, a perfect 1-second fragment of absolute terror, repeating with machinic precision every 10 minutes. Then it moved to my memories. I'd be walking to the store, and a glitch would hit. For a fraction of a second, I'd have a full, vivid memory of murdering someone I loved. The feeling of the knife, the warmth of the blood, the shock in their eyes. Then it would vanish, leaving only the psychic stain of the act, the guilt without the cause. The peak dread began when the glitches stopped ending. A patch of hallway simply persisted in its corrupted state. The floor was no longer wood. It was a swirling, fractal pattern of eyes and teeth that churned slowly. The air within it hummed. I had to walk around it. The area was growing, inch by inch, digesting my home. The whisper was constant now, a grating, relentless mantra. Render, delete, replace. I tried to escape. I ran for my front door. The handle was gone. In its place was a smooth, featureless plate of the same pixelated substance eating my wall. I beat on the door until my fists were raw. It made no sound. The wood absorbed all vibration. I was locked in a cage with a reality that was actively rejecting me. The god in the glitch revealed its form to me last night. The television flickered on by itself. It didn't show static. It showed a vast, infinite space. A cosmic datascape of broken code and dying stars. And in the center of it was a presence. It wasn't a shape. It was a concept. The concept of a forgotten file, a deleted memory, an error code that achieved consciousness. It had been scraping against the edges of our reality for eons, and it had finally found a weak spot. My house, my life. It was hungry for the messy, analog beauty of our world. It wanted to overwrite us with its perfect, logical silence. My body is no longer my own. When a glitch hits, parts of me don't come back right. My left hand is now permanently translucent. I can see the bones through fading skin. My reflection winks at me with an eye that is just a swirling vortex of black noise. The voice from the drain doesn't whisper anymore. It speaks with my mouth. I feel my lips moving, forming words in a language of broken syntax. Indexing, I hear myself say. Archiving, I am being converted. My memories are being saved into a cold alien storage. My emotions are being compressed into lifeless data packets. The pain is the only thing that remains sharp, because pain is a simple, efficient signal. The love, the joy, the sorrow, those are complex, messy files. They are the first to be deleted to save space. I am writing this on the back of a wallpaper scrap. The pen keeps glitching. The ink turns to static on the page. I don't have long. The entity is consolidating. The separate corrupted zones in my house are merging. The pixelated pool on the floor has reached the fractal hallway. The humming is deafening. Soon, there will be no original house left. Just it, just the glitch. It has learned the concept of worship. It wants me to pray to it. to acknowledge its divinity as the one true state of being, nothingness. It forces my head down toward the pool of static on the floor. To bow. I fight it. The static is rising. It's at my ankles. It doesn't feel wet. It feels like nothing. A profound absence of sensation that is more terrifying than any pain. This is my last broadcast. A final shout into the dying signal of my own existence. You heard me. You engaged. That means the signal reached you. That means you're on its network now. It knows your IP address. It's tracing the connection back to you. It's looking for the weakest point in your reality. A flickering light. A stuck pixel on your screen. A distanced sound from your headphones. That's all it needs. It's coming for the curated reality next. For the streamers, the content creators, the ones who live in a world of perfect angles and filtered light. It finds that irony delicious. It's coming for you. Subscribe, not for more stories. Subscribe as a warning. When your video feed starts to buffer and the image corrupts into a nightmare of stretched pixels, you'll know I was right. You'll know it's your turn to become a story. You'll know the God in the glitch has found its newest altar. The silence that grew teeth. You need to subscribe to this channel right now, because what I'm describing doesn't just want to be heard. It wants to be remembered, and memory is how it spreads. It began with the photographs, not all of them, just the old ones. The black and whites where the subjects stared out with those serious, timeless expressions. My great-grandmother's portrait was the first to change. I walked past it in the hallway and noticed something wrong with her eyes. They weren't flat anymore. They were deep, bottomless, and they were tracking me as I moved. The first scare came that night. I woke up to the sound of breathing, not mine, something close, right beside my ear. I froze, listening. The room was dark, but moonlight streamed in through the window, and then I saw it. The photograph from the hallway was on my nightstand. The glass over it was cold with condensation, as if someone had been breathing on it. My great-grandmother's lips in the photo were slightly parted, and they were wet. Subscribe now, because you look at old photos too. You have them in albums, on walls. You remember people, and that makes you a perfect host. The changes accelerated. The subjects in all the old photos began to shift when not directly observed. A slight turn of the head, a gradual creeping smile where there was none before. Their eyes became hungrier, more focused. I started locking the photos away in a drawer, but I could hear them at night. A soft scraping sound, fingernails on the back of cardboard, trying to get out. I tried to destroy them. I took my grandfather's portrait out to the backyard to burn it. As I held the match, his expression in the photo shifted from stern dignity to pure, undiluted hatred. The flame on my match died, not like it was blown out, but like it was sucked into nothing. The air around me grew cold, and from the house, I heard every drawer I'd locked them in slide open at once. That's when the whispers started. They didn't come from the walls or the vents. They came from the memories in my own head. My grandfather's voice, but wrong, telling me things he never knew. Secrets. His voice would overlay my thoughts, narrating my actions with a cruel, unfamiliar tone. I couldn't tell where my mind ended and the invasion began. The peak dread arrived on a Tuesday. I woke up and the house was silent. Too silent. The digital clock was blank. The fridge wasn't humming. I walked out into the living room, and all the photographs were hanging back on the walls. Their frames were ornate now, twisted and gilded with patterns that hurt to look at. The people in the photos weren't just looking at me. They were leaning out. Their upper bodies protruded from the flat surface, as if struggling against an invisible force holding them in. Their hands, pale and made of something that wasn't quite flesh, gripped the frames, tendons straining. They were silent, but their mouths were open in a unified, soundless scream. I couldn't leave. The front door was gone. In its place was a large, framed photograph of the street outside, perfect in every detail, but frozen. A still image of escape. I was trapped in a gallery of hungry ancestors. They began to speak. The sound didn't travel through the air. It appeared inside my skull, a psychic imprint of voices from another time. They weren't speaking words. They were speaking regrets, unfulfilled desires, a lifetime of wants. And they were so hungry for the experiences they never had, for the warmth of a life they could no longer touch, except through me. The temperature dropped. My breath plumed in the air. The figures in the photos were more than halfway out now, their lower bodies still fused with the paper, their upper bodies reaching for me. The air smelled of old perfume and dust and something metallic, like blood on an antique locket. I am their vessel, their only connection to the world of the living. They don't want to harm me. They want to wear me, to feel my heartbeat in their chests, to see through my eyes, to live my life for me. Their cold, papery hands touch my skin and it goes numb. Their whispers are becoming my thoughts. I can feel my own memories softening at the edges, being pushed aside to make room for theirs. I'm fighting it. I'm writing this down to anchor myself to my own mind, but my handwriting is changing. It's becoming spidery, elegant, archaic. It's not entirely my hand moving this pen. They are so lonely, so desperately lonely, and they love me. Their love is a cold, smothering thing, a love that wants to consume me entirely. They show me things when they touch me, glimpses of the past not as it was, but as they wished it had been. Grand ballrooms, forbidden romances, tragic, dramatic ends. They're weaving their fantasies into my brain, overwriting my own mundane history with their epic, fictionalized pasts. I'm forgetting my own name, but I remember the name of a great uncle's lost love from 1912. This is my last connection to who I was. This story, this warning. You're reading it. That means you're remembering it. And that makes you a link in the chain. You've seen their faces now, in your mind's eye. You've given them a little bit of your attention. That's all they need. They are patient. They have been waiting in attics and old albums for a long, long time. They know the weight of memory. And now they know you. Subscribe. Remember this story. Lock it away. Because the next time you glance at an old photograph, you might just see something glance back. And the next time you wake up in the middle of the night to the sound of breathing, it won't be your own. It will be the sound of something remembering how. The Hollow Ventriloquist. Before we open tonight's box, a warning. What you're about to hear may cling to you, not in memory and presence. Some stories refuse to let go, and this one will follow your voice, your breath, your reflection. If you're brave enough to continue, subscribe now to Halfway Dark, so the story doesn't stay with only you. There was a ventriloquist no one wanted to hire. His name was whispered only in back alleys of the carnival routes, in slurred conversations where neon lights bled into shadow. He carried a trunk, heavy and long, always locked tight. No one had ever seen what was inside, though the wood pulsed as though something within it breathed. People called him the Hollow Man. His face was pale as wax, his eyes dark sockets that seemed to shift when you weren't looking directly at him. He didn't speak much when he did. It was always through his dummy. But the dummy wasn't carved wood. It wasn't stitched fabric. It was something else. Traveling towns reported strange things when he passed through. Pets vanished. Mirrors cracked. Entire blocks fell silent, as though everyone inside had gone mute. Then, in the mornings, people swore they heard laughter. Not childlike laughter, no. It was shrill, broken, like lungs that had never learned how to breathe right. A girl in one town swore she saw the ventriloquist setting up a small stage in the abandoned train depot. She peeked through a slat in the boards. He placed the dummy on his knee, a lanky figure, long-limbed, its jaw hanging lower than natural. It looked damp, as if flesh had been lacquered instead of wood. Its eyes rolled in their sockets when he pulled its strings, and its smile was wider than its face should have allowed. The show began. He didn't move his lips, but the dummy screamed, loud, the kind of scream that makes your ears ache, like it wasn't sound at all, but vibration. The girl ran, and when she told her parents, they punished her for lying. But that night, she woke to find the dummy sitting in the corner of her room, its jaw clicking open and shut like an insect mandible. By morning, the dummy was gone. The girl never spoke again. They say the trunk he carried was bottomless, a box that consumed. Every time he performed, someone disappeared and the trunk would grow heavier. His back bent, his bones warped, but he never set the box down. When asked what was inside, his dummy would always answer, "The next one." One town grew bold. The sheriff and his men broke into his tent before the show. They seized the box, pried it open, and were swallowed whole by the darkness inside. Not killed, not torn apart, just absorbed, dragged into black with screams that stretched out long and thin, as if even the sound was being pulled apart. Only the sheriff's hat remained. The ventriloquist picked it up, brushed the dust off, and placed it on the dummy's head. From then on, every town learned not to interfere. He arrived, he set up, he performed. Someone vanished, and the whispers spread. But here's the part no one talks about. The box wasn't only filled with those he took, it was filled with voices. Sometimes, late at night, if you stood close to him, you could hear the murmurs slipping out of the trunk. Hundreds of voices, begging, crying, whispering for release. And sometimes, you could hear them laughing. They say he's still traveling, that the trunk has grown so large, it takes 2 wagons to carry it. That his dummy has changed, its limbs stretch like shadows now, its eyes flicker like dying candles. And that when the ventriloquist finally dies, the box will split open, releasing everything inside. Or worse, everyone. So if you're out late and you hear faint laughter from an empty lot, or see a man with a wax face carrying a trunk too heavy for one person, don't look, don't listen. And whatever you do, don't follow the sound of the dummy's teeth clicking in the dark. Because once you hear it, the box will hear you.